Hello, hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Self-Published in 30 Days. This is your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you where I get to interview those who are taking it to another level. Today, I got my main man on, Moussa Mikhail, in the building. Say hello to the people, Moussa.
Hello, hello. It's an honor and a privilege to be on your show, Darren. I appreciate you.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. We had to have you on. Now, Musa, you have had an interesting experience. We're going to go in detail when it comes to your bio and those things like that. They'll be able to read that in the show notes. But if you don't mind, I like for people to actually hear from the person who's on the show. So could you just catch people up a little bit about who you are and what you're currently doing? And then we're going to dive more into the book stuff instead of me just reading off a prompter, your bio. I think it's more justice what we hear from the actual author themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Moussa Mikhail. I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. Uh, I just got out the military a year ago, which I served on the submarine USS Columbia. So I spent a lot of my time underwater, right? 5 years in the military. Uh, 2 of those years or more I spent doing missions underwater on a submarine. So we talk about quarantine. I had the ultimate practice of quarantining myself with 150 men, but it really gets you to think and reflect on mindset. So this is kind of what sparked me into the self-development world, which I used that time not just a way to kill time when I was underwater because I was isolated from everything, but to really use it to better myself. And that's
Mm.
what I did. I read so many books on my 6-month deployments. I would just read, listen to podcasts and turn it into an educational 6 months for me, vice me just watching movies or trying to kill time or whatever the case was. And that kind of got me into really desiring to be in the speaking world and the writing world and just making podcasts and being of service to help people grow as a person. And that's really when it all started, because I was just obsessed with learning and growing. Right? I wanted to be better. I had a very successful career in the military, but I wasn't happy with what I was doing. But I wanted to use it as a challenge, right? Because at first, Darren, I didn't even want to be on a submarine at all. I remember telling the recruiter that's the one thing I didn't want to do was be on a submarine because like I like being outside and sunlight, and you didn't have that, right? But then at a certain point when I got offered it, I was like, this is the most uncomfortable thing for me to do. So let me just do it and see where it goes. And it really a big thing for me is getting out comfort zones, right? Because you grow so much more. I couldn't even imagine how much I grew as an individual, before joining the military, especially being on a submarine, because it's a different platform. It's not for everybody. Absolutely not. But that's what got me into entrepreneurship because I worked so much in the military, had very structured time. 30 days off a year wasn't enough for me, so I liked the entrepreneurship, got in the real estate business, finance and credit business. But even then, I wasn't really feeling fulfillment. I had this idea where I had to be financially free before I can start writing my book and start my podcast and start speaking and coaching people one on one. And then uh, I soon realized like that was just a limiting belief that I did not need the finances. Right, it was just an excuse. When eventually I'll be able to go start doing what I really want to do and write and speak. And then I was just like, no, you. I remember hearing Les Brown say, "You weren't born to work for a living, but to live your making, and making your living will will living your making will make your living." Sorry, I messed that up, but that quote really stuck to me, and I was like, I'm not going to work for a living. I'm going to just live my making, and then I'll make my living that way. And which what got me started. I got connected uh, to Shay Sparks. She connected me with you guys, and now that I have that book on the way, I'm already thinking about the next one. And that's what I'm excited for, just continuing that, finding more ways to serve, right? The podcast I created this year, It's just all about service. It's about helping people on their journey, right? Everyone's on their journey. Everyone has obstacles and struggles, and that's really what lights me up. And now it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels just like I'm living my purpose, and that's one of the most special things I think we all can do, is find that purpose within ourselves. If
Man,
that gives you a good background on
my
me.
man Musa is out here hitting us in the head immediately. He bringing the Las Vegas heat, baby. He's bringing the heat. I'm telling you, right off the top, he went in. And so I want, it's a few things, Musa, that I want to go into that you share for those who are listening to this. You talking about quotes, and you brought up Les Brown, and I know that quote that you're talking about, and it's great. You did a good job, because typically I don't even attempt it, because I sometimes get tongue twisted when I'm sharing it. But one of the quotes that I love, and it comes from T.D. Jakes, where he talks about that most people acquiesce to known hells, forfeiting unknown heavens. Most people during their tenure here in this thing called life, they acquiesce, basically they retreat, or they settle for known hells, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's comfortable, but it's a discomfort in the comfort. They stay there, even though it's a bad relationship and you're being beaten, you stay there. Even though you hate the job, or the job stinks or sucks, you still stay there. Even though you know that you need to be in better health, because the doctor has already diagnosed you that if you don't do this or make some changes in your life, that you might not be able to walk your daughter down the aisle, or you might not be there for that significant other. But because we are used to it and it's comfortable, we won't make the necessary change, or we won't think the right thoughts that will allow for us to be emotional, that will cause the type of action that we need, that will yield a different result that we say that we desire. So when I hear Moussa sharing with us these nuggets here, I want to just kind of break that down and kind of go through that quote, and then hit you with some of the process of what Moussa does an excellent job. If you're following him, we'll have that information in the show notes, of making you know the importance of your mindset. You got to have the right mindset. I know people, and I'm bringing up a sports example with this. LeBron James was talking about how much it was mindset in the bubble at the time of this recording, when they won their NBA championship, compared to other times, because when you're locked in, so to speak, or when you have, even in the penal system or whatnot, or the local penitentiaries in America, you can have the most hardened criminals that, if they're in the public or whatnot, or they're just basically in regular population, and you put them in isolation, that's the punishment within the punishment of doing time, because of what it does with you mentally. So when we're dealing here with Moussa, and you're dealing with him in that submarine, what it is he built up the dexterity, built up the mental fortitude while doing something that he never would have thought he would have done, but he accepted that challenge. Now you see a ripple effect in this young man's life, with him choosing to do the hard things that allow for him to be able to live the life that others won't be able to live, because they won't choose to do the hard things. So speaking of that, Moussa, I know you got the book. I know you're dealing with that, but let's go a little bit deeper, because I've heard your content, man, and you do an excellent job. Talk to those out there who, especially getting ready to go into a new year, and those who've been impacted by 2020, of the importance of, even though something has happened to you, you have a choice to either respond or react, and the importance of how the mind allows for you to have a navigational system on where you would end up. Could you talk to the people about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. That was beautifully said, Darren. And mindset is something that we have to really realize we have the choice. And I've seen this, and is what got me really interested, that some people can be totally okay and at peace, while others are hating life. And I saw that on the submarine, because it's very easy to focus on negative things. It's very easy to focus on what's bothering me. It's not glamorous by any means. So it's easy. That stuff's really right in front of you. And that's kind of how we can live our life, right? The news is always pulling out the negative. There's always going to be negative if you seek that, right? Seeking you shall find. If you're seeking the negative in life, you're going to always find it. Same thing with the positive. And I remember a quote by Viktor Frankl, who lived in Auschwitz, and he can still find peace and happiness in his life. And he says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space lies our ability to choose. And in those choices lies our growth and our happiness. So he made it a conscious choice. There's going to be stimulus of negativity. There's going to be stimulus of things. This year is full of other things that uh, a lot of bad things happen this year, right? Every year, but like a lot of hard things for a lot of people, very challenging. But for some people, it was also one of the biggest years of their life, most growth they ever seen. I created a podcast this year. Like a lot of great things happened this year. Also, because I chose not to just settle for what's happening outside of my control. And that's really one of the big things, Darren, is understanding what's in our control and what's not. We can't control the coronavirus. We can't control politics. We obviously have our voice and vote and all that stuff, but that's a separate conversation. We do what we can with what we have and where we're at always. And that kind of helps us just remember what we can actually control is right now and what we choose to think about, our perception and our choices in this moment, right? Between stimulus and response lies our ability to choose. And you can choose happiness, focusing on what you want in life rather than what you don't want, right? I wanted to write a book and the universe just put things in front of me and aligned so I can take that step now, right? Because I was thinking maybe in like a couple years, 5-10 years, and then obviously you probably know what that means. Like, okay, 5 years later, you still ready for that book? Yeah, almost like next year. And then it just never happens. And then that great book dies with you in the grave, which is what I don't want. Right? Our gifts must be shared. And there's no better time, right? There's no better time to share yourself. It's the greatest gift you can give somebody is your most authentic self. So a book is a beautiful way to do that. There's obviously a lot of other ways. Artists do it with paintings, musicians do it with music, athletes do it with their sport. You could do it with a cake, right? If you're a baker, right? It doesn't matter.
Right.
There's a lot of avenues to do it. And it's just the way you look, man. Your outlook always determines your outcome.
Wow.
And that's why I was unshaken. Well, I wouldn't say I was unshaken. I was very stressed out in my military service, but it always reminded me this is an opportunity to grow. Why am I so stressed out? Why am I upset? Why am I angry? This is an opportunity, right? It's showing me something to take and move forward. This whole year was an opportunity for everyone to grow, but you only grow when you're looking for an opportunity.
Wow. Wow. We all have opportunities and we all have obstacles. The thing is what are you choosing to focus on? Which one of the big O's are you looking for? And I love what Moussa is sharing with us because when you think about this, what you focus on magnifies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a reason if you get frustrated and you can't find your keys, because typically you'll start verbalizing, I can't find my keys, even though the keys are right in front of you. We like to say it down south in Texas that, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. That's just a phrase that we use because it's right there in front of you, but you didn't even see it. Why? Because you blocked out of your mind the actual solution because your body is giving you what you want. So when you're frustrated and you have given way to frustration, you have given way to lack, if you have given way to insecurity, if you have given way of where you grew up, if you've given way to your education and you think that's the limit to you, if you've given way to all these things, your gender or your sexual orientation, where you're on the socioeconomic ladder, these are things that what Moussa is sharing with us is important because especially the time that we're in now. I want to talk about this, Moussa, because you bring up some brilliant points that I think our audience need to listen to. And I want to use my words carefully here. And so, me and Moussa both, we're from different nationalities. Okay. Um, but this is something that we both know and agree upon. Nationality doesn't matter, or let me put it, ethnic background doesn't matter because there are laws of the world. And I'm not just not talking about judicial laws or anything like that. It's laws of the universe. So no matter who you are, white, black, brown, yellow, green, orange, the law of gravity exists on earth, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you've been through. It exists. It exists for battered people. It exists for those who've been bullied. It exists for those who are rich. It exists for those who are poor or middle class. Why am I bringing this up? Because if you don't understand the importance of your thinking, you can be enslaved without any shackles because you're shackled in your mind. So if I can make you think that you are a victim and you believe it, it's just like the person who couldn't find their keys, because you're going to start attracting things to make you a victim. It has nothing to do with you being a victim. Your thoughts become things, and then you'll find out that your state is that way. So your surroundings will be that way, and situations will be conformed that allow for you to have that as a solution, that you'll always find yourself being a victim. So I'm bringing this up because the tension, I'm not saying that things don't need to be changed. Now, Darren, what you're bringing this up, but I'm being honest with you. If you don't understand that the law of gravity exists for all people, that's the same way that it is what Moussa is teaching us about the mindset. If you're focusing on the negative, if you're choosing to see yourself as a victim, then you will continue to attract that to you. Not saying that it didn't happen, because it is real. You are, I mean, you are right. You are having situations where someone did this to you. Don't you notice the person, and Moussa, we can go deeper into this, but don't you notice the person they keep, no matter, they keep finding themselves in a bad relationship? They just, no matter who they date, no matter what the names change, but the game remains the same. That it just seems like it's always a bunch of drama and chaos. No matter who they date, no matter where they are in the world, it's the same, because it's the thinking. And Moussa, let's go to this right quick, man, because you did get it done with the book. And me being an author myself, um, owning a published company, I'm blessed to own it. I got great people. I like to say I'm the mascot. I have an amazing team of people that I work with. But this is something that's very important. And I don't want to leave without talking about this, because you brought it up 2 or 3 times. Those who are listening to this, don't miss what Moussa shared with us. I thought it as well. You don't have to be Ernest Hemingway in Cuba. I'm not saying it would be a bad thing or whatnot to be looking at the ocean outside of a window in Cuba, but I'm not knocking that if that's where you want to go to allow for yourself to be creative. But you don't have to think that you have to be all accomplished. You don't have to wait till you get the doctorate, or you don't have to wait till you're on the Forbes top 100 entrepreneurs in the world, or you don't have to wait till the kids are grown and they went to college and they're married for you to be able to do something. You don't have to wait that, because the catalyst for most people is creating the book that opens the doors for them to accomplish. So here it goes back to mindset again. If you're thinking with that limited belief, as Moussa shared with us earlier, that you have to wait to the end of your life for you to start living life and get the content done, because it's something that you can share with someone. And this is a philosophy that I've used and I've heard from others. You just need to stay one chapter ahead. There's something that you can share wherever, if you just graduated from college, you can share some things, the do's and don'ts of what to do if you're going to college. You didn't have to be in corporate 5 years or 10 years before you wrote that book. You just experienced college. You got something that could be helpful to parents and also students who are getting ready to embark on a journey that they haven't never experienced before by being in college for the first time. So you have something of value that could be beneficial for someone. So I love what Moussa is sharing. Yes, he's done a book, what is a co-author book, but he's already looking and saying, wait a minute, I'm an artist. I can make a positive change. I don't have to sit here and wait. That's an excuse. So yes, I wrote this, but why haven't I wrote my own book as well? I can do that too, and do the
Mhm.
podcast, and do real estate, and do the other things that I want to do. So Musa, talk about the overall mindset of realizing that you don't have to wait. Why wait when you can create?
It goes back to understanding time, really. You don't know how much time you have here, and you control this moment, right? This is the only moment right now that we're guaranteed, and it was just gone, right? The second it just passed. We're not getting that back. So what's the value in waiting to do something? There's no value. Like there's absolutely no value in me waiting 10 years to write a book. Like if I really put my heart into it right now, it would be a great book, just like it would be 10 years from now. Right. But now there's 10 years of life, right? And that's not even guaranteed. There's no guarantee in my years, right? And it's just having that idea, that the concept of any excuse that comes up. Like if I say I want to do something, the first you're gonna bombard yourself with excuses, right? Well, I'm not wise enough to write a book. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't, all these things, right? And then you just understand that those aren't true, because when we're born, we are ordained with self-expression. Kids know how to express themselves. They don't need to be told. You watch a 5-year-old, they will express how they feel. They are very creative, very imaginative, right? We have this gift. We all have creativity, imagination. It's not until we get older and older where it starts to diminish our light based off whatever programs and beliefs we obtain on our journeys in life. And it's just really tapping into the fact that you have everything you need to write that book, or to start that business, or to make whatever changes and achieve whatever goals. The only thing stopping you is your thinking. And since we have everything we need, like you mentioned, you have value to offer to people, regardless where you're at. I just got out the military. I just started thinking like, wow, I can start helping people transition out the military, because it's not easy. Or I was like, I just got the military. I could help people with their mental health while they're still in, so they never ever think about suicide. Like there's always things. Like, you just graduated high school, you can add value to the high school kids struggling. You just getting started playing the piano, like you're a step ahead of the person who didn't start. Let me help you just get started. Like here's a lesson, here's a great teacher, whatever the case is. There's always place to add value, but that has to be your focus. If you're focusing on how can I add value to somebody, how can I help, how can I serve, that's when you're going to start getting all these ideas. That's when I was like, well, I could serve people, because you could download a podcast and take it on the submarine with you. You can't watch TV live, you can't listen to live radio, but you could download stuff. So maybe I can help people there. Right? They're just, you start thinking, you're already creative. I used to think, Darren, I wasn't creative because I didn't know how to like paint. And then I realized I painted that lion behind me. And I was like, I could paint. I didn't even know I could paint. Right? It was just a belief that I wasn't artistic in that way. Right. And it's just like I did that a couple years ago. Right. So it's like I stopped myself from actually, like, it was fun doing that, painting and whatnot. And I stopped myself just because I thought I wasn't artistic. But everyone has artists, even if it's not painting, it's something else. Everyone has a gift, and we can take that and share that. And if that's like your specialty in sharing and expressing in a book, which is one of the best forms, books can be timeless, but there's always an opportunity to give value and help somebody. And as long as that's your focus, you'll find it.
Wow. I'm telling you, when you bring that up, Musa, man, and I think about this, that's the number one thing. When you hear people, I know it, they saying, here, Darren, go with the woo woo, whatnot. But this is so true what Musa is sharing with us. You got to have a big enough why. And that
Mm,
why is when you understand serving. and you got to be selfless. It's servant leadership. So when you understand that someone can benefit from your book or from your story or from your podcast or whatever that thing is that you do that could help someone in life, then it tends to get rid of, because you're focused on that, it tends to get rid of the excuses because you have a big enough reason to do it that's beyond yourself. So when you come from a place of adding value, as Musa is sharing with us, that's the importance. Because I like to call it CPR. You have to know that you're capable, prepared, and ready to do whatever it takes. Because I didn't understand it, but you don't have to be perfect to help somebody. It's about progression instead of perfection. So by you benefiting someone by helping them in their lives, they're not looking at you and like, man, I thought you could have wrote that sentence a little bit better. No, this helped me while I was going through a tough time on that submarine. And I just want to thank you for that because I wasn't in a good place at that time. I just talked to my girlfriend, this has happened, or this situation happened with my brother, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And then here I am out at sea, not knowing what's going on, not able to have the type of contact or communication the way that I wanted to. And I was in a dark place, but this was able to give me light. But that starts with understanding that someone needs what you have. And so you don't have to be Carlos Slim in Mexico. You don't have to be Oprah Winfrey. You don't have to be Bill Gates or whatnot to make a difference. So for those who are listening out there who saying, well, why would I do that? It's all these podcasts. Why should I do a podcast? Well, why should I do a book? It's all these books out there. Why should I do a book? Why? Because there hasn't been one from your perspective. There's nobody like you who has ever walked this earth. So that's why we can't find a fingerprint that matches yours. So from your ideas, from your mindset, from your situation, the environment that you grew up in, you're able to impart or give wisdom to someone that is going to be people that Moussa is going to be able to connect with that would never ever hear my story, and vice versa. It can be even a relative. I can even have a first cousin that they will listen to Moussa before they listen to me. See, that's the thing about it. It doesn't matter where you are or nothing like that. That's the mindset. But when you understand that someone is counting on you, that that person is ensnared right now because they're waiting on you to reach your full potential and do what you need to do by putting that content out, it changes why you're waiting, because you start thinking to yourself, what are the opportunities as well that you're forfeiting because I don't know you, because I can't book you. I'm able to have Musa on this show right now because he took a step. I wouldn't know to even have Musa on the show if he wouldn't have took the step to go ahead and think outside the box. If he would have waited till he was like 70, 80 years old to write the book, I don't even know if I would even be around that time. But because we're all able to benefit from his zone of genius because he took the step. So for those who are listening out here today, before we have Musa share how you can learn about his podcast, the books, the whole nine, I want you to think about that. What opportunities are you forfeiting because you're waiting on the opportunity to be right? Or you think that you need to create a bunch of time to write when we could have just have you use your audio and then have it transcribed. So now it's not a daunting task anymore because you got strategy. But if you don't even seek out help, you don't know it. Well, it's the investment. I don't know if I can do the investment, but you didn't know if you never asked to talk to someone, you possibly could have did installments. There's a solution to every situation that you're going through. And speaking of solutions, I know people want to hear more, man. I want to be respectful of your time, but please share, how can they connect with you on social media? How can they, subscribe or be a part of your podcast? Anything you have going on, man, please share with our audience, bro.
Absolutely. Everything's on my website, MousaMikhail.com. But I'm very active on Instagram, Facebook, and it's just my name, Moussa Mikhail. I'm sure we could have that spelling because most people
Oh
probably
yeah.
not gonna know how to spell it.
Yeah, we'll have
But
that in the show notes, man. Definitely.
yeah, the podcast is the Conqueror Approach, and that's on every podcast platform. So Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you listen to podcasts on, and then my YouTube channel is just Moussa Mikhail. I put all the video of the podcasts up there. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, reach me at any social media platform. I'd love to connect. And one last thing that I love about that is one of the things that I struggled with, and I'm still struggling with right now to write this book, the new one I'm trying to write, and it's just the finding the timepiece. Real quick, and it just I just learned this or observed this from Ryan Holiday, who released like 6 or 7 best-selling books, and he just pumped books one after another. I'm just like, this guy's like in early 30s, and he got like, and then he just writes for 1 to 2 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
and he just, so you don't, it's not like a daunting, I need to write for 18 hours a day to write a book. Even if you write half a page a day, by the end of the year, you're gonna have a book. And it's not about, and he says as long as he gets 2 crappy pages, he's good. He doesn't even edit them until he's done with all of it, because then he would stop himself from writing more. And it's just like getting it out there, just get it out there. And that's what I learned on my podcast, just get it out. My first podcast is terrible, honestly, in my opinion, but people are saying it's good. I was like, all right, I'm the hardest critic, and like I'm trying to improve, but like, it's not about perfectionism. And that was one of the hardest things I had to learn, is I wanted to be perfect, but when you're trying to be perfect, you never start. All the lights are never going to be green at the same time. You just got to take it where you're at, start where you're at with what you have, and you start making progress. So I'd love to connect with your audience. I'd love to connect with you again, Darren. It's been an absolute privilege. Thank you.
No doubt, man. Moussa Mikhail, man, I just want to thank you for coming on. You really hit some nuggets. I mean, you really align, this is just alignment, man, just all the way around, because you help so many people with that message. And I just want to give this gem to people, because you alluded to it. I just want to give this overview that helps people. When you're looking at doing a book, don't make the mistake that most people make. Ryan gave a great example of that, and that's what we have in our content as well, to be beneficial to people. For one, don't try to do the book all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's teamwork. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but a lot of us are programmed because of what we learned in school through traditional education. No. You write your term paper all by yourself. No. You do the dissertation all by yourself. No. You don't seek help. But in this world, it's collaboration. So what you do is you don't have to make those rookie mistakes, because you have assistance. But if you're thinking with the limited belief, you kind of think back to you like you're in 3rd or 5th grade, like you're cheating. If somebody, or I need to do all this first, I need to do a lot of grunt work.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just look at this, just real quick. 2 to 3 potential title names. If you got a title, then that's cool. Don't worry about that. Then create 6 to 12 topics or areas of expertise, or areas that you want to have for that particular audience that you're sharing with. That can just be topics. Notice I didn't say chapters right now, because you're in the infancy stages. Later on, you can align the chapters, change the name of them, but you know at least what you're writing on each one of those chapters. Then you can make it align with your brand, or kind of get witty with it and all that, make it look all nice and cute, whatever you want to do. Okay. Then just take time, like Moussa shared, with the creating the content. But what we do is just suggest that you take writing a complete thought, take a week. So 1 chapter a week. That's your whole goal. And you're like, wow, just 1 chapter a week. Notice I didn't say 2,500 words. I didn't say 30,000 words. I didn't give you that type of stress. Why? Because I'm working on your mind. So your mind is going to tell you that it's doable instead of being daunting. Both start with a D, doable. So since it's doable to you, you're going to have instant success and gratification. So that's going to allow for you to want to do more. So within a week or two, you end up knocking out 1 or 2 chapters, because you're only responsible for a page or 2 for the whole week. So you think like, man, I got 7 days just to get 1 page or 2 pages down, a complete thought. I don't even have to edit it. So you're able to do that. For those who are not great writers, let's look at it this way. Take time, like Moussa. He's great at creating content. So why would I have Moussa worried about trying to write everything out, when I would just have him come up with the subject matter, get him on Zoom, have him record himself. He already does a podcast, and have him verbalize. When you verbally speak, you're creating more content. And if instead of you just typing on Word or Microsoft, on Microsoft Word or on Pages, if you got an Apple operating system. So Moussa could speak from anywhere from 7 to 15 minutes, 20 tops, about a subject matter. And you heard how great and how eloquent he was on here compared to him trying to type and write it out. So he's recording anyway. So why would I take him from his zone of genius and make him uncomfortable doing something that he doesn't have to do? Allow for him to use it where now he's able to flow. The yoke is easy. So now he's not repelling it. He's running to it, because now within a 2 to 3 week time frame, he's knocked out all his chapters. Our team would transcribe it for him, put it in a Word document, send it back to him. So now all he has to do is just go over what he's already done, add a sentence or two to each chapter. Now he got a rough draft done. Then it's passed on to an editing team. But see, if you're not working with a team of experts, you think you have to do it all by yourself.
Darren, that's brilliant, because I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned it. I was like, that's a good idea. I could translate all these podcasts and make a book.
That's it.
Because I didn't even think about that.
That's
Genius.
it. And that's what we do. Same thing with the blog. For those who are writers, if you got, 6 to 12 blogs, take the blogs, put it all in one Word document. That's your book. Same thing for podcasts, guys. You got the podcast, you got the audio. It's called RPC, repurposed content. You take the content that you've already created. Well, they already listened to it. No, they haven't. Everybody hasn't listened to it. Don't think you're that deep. I don't care who you are. You could be Mark Cuban off Shark Tank, but we don't hear or see everything that Mark Cuban does, because we have our own life, our own situations we're dealing with. So these are just some things on how thinking and getting with experts can help you expedite the process. It doesn't have to be hard. But if your limited belief tells you that it's going to be hard, it's just like looking for your keys. You're wasting a bunch of time because you thought it had to be done that way. Even though if you're a rational thinker, how would you know if you've never done it before? Hey, Moussa Mikhail, thanks so much, man, for coming on to the Self-Publishing 30 Day. You know what? Y'all got blessed today off this episode. So, man, we need y'all to reach out. Go follow my man on there and whatnot. Definitely, we want you to reach out to Moussa, follow him, subscribe to his podcast. We might even do a drawing for some wins, but you all were truly blessed today, because it was some value bombs dropped. Y'all didn't have to invest even in a consultation today, because Moussa dropped bombs on y'all today. And so, you want to take advantage of this, man. Moussa, do you have any last words to the people before we close it out, my brother?
Last thing I want to say, just to add to yours, success is a team sport. Always was, always will be. So other than that, thank you. You are a blessing and a gift to the world. Keep doing all the amazing things you're doing, changing lives, helping people express themselves. And I'm truly honored and to know you. And it's an absolute privilege, Darren. Thank you.
Man, nothing but gratitude, my brother. Nothing but gratitude for those who are listening. We're grateful for you too. Remember, if you want change, be the change. And always know that this is the year for your new book. Be blessed and be great.